Recently, I've made quite a few videos on Liveplay specifically, talking about the lessons we can learn from them, seeing what everybody wants from them, what people enjoy out of them. Really what I do is I just recount a basic scene that happens and break down how the players really made the moment happen and how the DM handled it. But that being said, I've gotten a few comments recently that got me starting to think on something. A lot of people were talking about the fact that they weren't sure that the players were actually having fun. They were invested, yes, 100%, but their emotions were just so visceral that maybe they wondered if it was actually fun for them to do this or if it was just them playing into the show. And that honestly is a very interesting point. A lot of people get up in arms when you try and claim the fact that live plays are scripted. Most live plays are not scripted, and I don't think any of them are. But that doesn't mean that the players around the table are not trying to up the drama. That's kind of their job. But is that actually separate from enjoying time at the table? Is feeling deep emotional connections to what's happening something that takes away from fun? I've watched well over 2,000 hours of live plays at this point. And no, that's not an exaggeration. I've legitimately done the math on that. So I feel like I have a pretty good basis to talk about this. And my initial answer is no, I don't think that having an emotional connection takes away from the fun, but it's still something to take into account. See, recently I ran a few different sessions of my own personal home game with my group, and they were intense, emotional, and led to a lot of very intense feelings. Lots of players almost died. Through miracles of the dice, none of them did, but it got me wondering, because of the fact that they felt this intense visceral connection, were they actually having fun? Is there a difference between that drama or not? And it is really an interesting topic. See, I personally, as a player, really love feeling emotions when I play in my games. I love feeling extremely connected to all the characters. Feeling that emotional connection in my gut when I sit there and look at everybody else at the table. The anger or the happiness, the genuine sorrow that can come from losing a character. I enjoy that, and I personally find it fun. But that doesn't mean that everybody does. What actually makes things fun at the table? Now, the initial answer to this question is always going to be the same thing. Just talk about it at a session 0. Look around your table, talk to all the players, make sure you all are on the same page about what makes fun fun. But this then leads to the inevitable question I began this video with, which is feeling sadness fun? Does that actually create enjoyment? And the only thing that I would respond to that is, how many times have we gone to go watch a movie or a play, read a book, and felt that visceral connection, that genuine emotion, that sadness? We've shed tears, we felt for the characters, and by the end of it, we say, man, that was a good movie. Man, that was a good book. Man, that was a good play. We feel that genuine connection and determine that that was good. Because the thing is the purpose of movies and books or any kind of storytelling is to make us feel. It's to make us feel sympathy and empathy for the characters, to genuinely get invested, and to feel like at the end of the story, we've learned something new about the world. Like legitimately, that's what storytelling is. If you take aside all of the capitalism or marketing that's necessary for all of it, and take it down to the core of what stories used to be, stories were just lessons that people told each other based off of experiences in life. All the way back to the original cave paintings, that was the purpose, to communicate information in a different method. And that's exactly what it is, even at the D&D table, or tabletop roleplay game, whatever it is that you're playing. The purpose is to communicate that human experience. And so it's interesting because we call them TTRPGs, tabletop roleplay games. However, are they truly actually games, or is it something more?
Love you all so much.
Thanks for a good story, Matt.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it was.
Let's do it again.
Has it become something more? And the answer is, I don't know. I'm not at your table. Seriously, if you actually consider it and look at it, it's based around the table. Is what's important at your table to just have a fun beer and pretzels game, to do ridiculous things, roll dice, and see if you can get away with shenanigans? Well, you're still telling a story, don't get me wrong, but the purpose more is for you guys to just play a game. You could probably get the same experience out of playing a board game, however, D&D is something that's just a little bit more connecting for all of you. And so that's what you really enjoy. But really, when you choose D&D, tabletop games, Pathfinder, whatever it is, over the actual board game that you could have played, you're generally choosing it because it's something more special. There is that connection, emotionally. And it just depends on what kind of emotions your group actually wants to explore. My table personally really likes to explore the deeper emotions, but not always. The sessions that I discussed earlier, the ones where things are seriously very intense, are far and few between. We like to explore that occasionally because it reminds us of the core aspects of the campaign, the real stakes underneath. But otherwise, we like to enjoy the funniness, the goofiness, the just connecting in the small moments.
Of a sexy rat.
What?
I see what you're
I
doing.
need you right now, Emily Axford, to verbally describe a sexy rat.
In fact, in my games, downtime and rests specifically are the longest portions of the campaign. They take up the most amount of sessions because my players just like talking to each other in character, experiencing that empathy and emotion in a way we wouldn't be able to in real life. And you know what's funny is there's a lot of different things to consider on what actual tables find as fun. I know there are tables that find the most fun in creating the encounters of combat, not just sitting there and, what are the monsters there? What are the dice that are being rolled? But making sure that there's terrain built up. The minis are spectacularly painted. In fact, I've known some tables where that's the most fun, is just seeing all of that. That's where they get their enjoyment. And other tables where a lot of the fun is just sitting down and talking in character like my group likes to do. And even other groups that specifically like really focusing on the political intrigue aspect where they just talk above game for most of the time, talking about how they can get things done or what they want to do. There's a lot of the times where you can watch people like Matthew Colville, where he specifically talks about the fact that his group really likes the world building aspect. So we go back to the original idea of this entire video, the thesis question. Is feeling those emotions actually fun for those people at the live play table? And yes and no. I find it fun to tell stories, and I'm sure that, in fact, I'm positive that they do too as well. But ultimately, it's fun to tell those stories for them, and so they explore those emotions. It's fun to put that in front of everybody else, and you have to ask what's fun at your table. What specifically are you all genuinely enjoying? And if you really consider that, that's what it comes down to. What are you guys having fun with? Fun is a kind of general term. It's not something you could specifically nail down, especially when it comes to TTRPGs. You have to consider what you all enjoy and explore that. And that's what it means when you find a good group, because you find everybody who wants to explore the same thing and have fun in the same ways. And that truly is special. It's something that is very worth exploring.